Yeah, having some problems with YouTube at the moment. I don't know what happens, but just a tiny fraction of people are able to see that I am actually doing a live stream. It's the third time this happens now, but I will just keep going, and this seems to be working better. Now, I changed the topic. I just changed the topic, and I don't think that has anything to do with it. Okay, climate change. Yeah, gets people very emotional, doesn't it? And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it should be a thing that we should just be able to look, at the facts. And let's face it, most of us, we're not equipped when it comes to knowledge. We're not equipped to look into this like a proper scientist can, you know. But we can make observations, but our observations will be skewed by many things because we are not scientists. We're not looking at the numbers, and we will have opinions and feelings and stuff like that. But most importantly, it seems to be working now, the live stream, which is wonderful. KP Heathen, hello. Luke and Mom, hello. Angela, Grasslands, Efo, Renee, Black Pigeon Pilled, Altera, lots of people are here. And you're all thick skinned because sometimes I can get a little bit. I shouldn't be mean, but I have been in the past. I'll try to do better in the future. But okay, climate change. So, can we agree on? Let's just start with one thing. Um, can we agree that the climate is changing? At least from day to day, the climate. Well, that's the weather, I guess. That you would call that the weather. But can we agree that the climate is changing? At least that should be a common ground. Okay. Um, like 100 years ago, in a given geographical area, the climate was probably a little bit different from what it is now. And it's been changing through those 100 years up until today. Can we agree? So this is just me asking, can we agree? We're not looking at reasons now. We just, can we agree that the climate on this planet, it it's always been, it's never been constant. It is changing, right? Can we agree that that's kind of the thing with climate? It will be changing. Yeah. So okay, we agree that it will change in the future. It has been changing in the past. So that's because of that, because we can agree that the climate is changing. It has been changing before. It will change in the future. And so let's agree on that. So clearly, when people say, and you will have politicians and so on, they say climate change is a lie, or they will say there is no climate change, and things like that. And well, Trump said that, he said, I don't believe in climate change. Um, Now I get that what he means there, he should have been more exact with his word there. More, he probably means that he probably means the following: he doesn't believe that human activity has any impact on climate, because I think it's it's very strange if you can't see that the climate is changing, and it has been changing in the past, it will change in the future. Okay. So we're dealing with logic here. Okay. And we will get to why people are so emotional about it. So the next thing that, and this is, I'm pushing it a little bit here. Okay. I will give you two statements. And those two statements, none of those can be true. Okay. So here's the first statement. And I will try my best to be as exact with my words as I can. All of climate change, all the climate change is caused by human activity. Okay. All of the change in the climate is because of human activity. So that statement, I hope we can all agree, must be false. I hope we can agree on that. Because there are natural variations and so on, and the climate was changing before there were humans on this planet, and so on and so on. And if you have a major volcanic eruption, that will change the climate, and so on. So clearly, human activity cannot be the only reason for climate change. I hope we can all agree on that. So when especially politicians again and journalists, they will say and they will write things like climate change is because of human activity. Scientists will never say that. And I think they do like this. Oh no, when they hear journalists saying that, and they will even say, oh, the scientists are saying that the climate change is because of human activity. And the scientists will go, no, we never said that, you know. Okay. Sorry. Now, here comes the second statement. And I have a feeling that this second statement will rub some people the wrong way here. I hope that's not a rude expression. Or it would be funny if it was. Oh, are you ready? Okay. Some of the climate change is because of human activity. Some of the climate change is because of human activity. Now, a lot of people do not want to say that, and they do not want to think that that can be true. But let's say, I mean, you can't deny it. If you travel to some of the areas that has been deforested, and we're talking vast areas, you can feel, you can see that the climate, well, you can measure that the climate has been changed because of human activity. Okay. Now, I do not have the proper education to talk about how pollution affects the climate. So I will leave that. But I find it difficult to believe that all of this pollution that we are actually human activity is causing has no effect on the climate. I believe it has an effect on the climate. So I hope we can also agree that human activity has some effect on the climate. And I believe that if we go to the scientists working on this and we rule out the scientists whose results, whose funding depend on certain results, so we can't listen to those. But if we listen to those who are actually educated in this, doing science on this, doing research on this, with an objective mind, it will be difficult to find anyone. I know there's a Swedish guy, but you need to look at the majority. It will be difficult to find that. Well, the majority will say that human activity has. Well, I actually know this. They will say human activity has some effect on the climate, but it's difficult to know exactly how much. Okay, so we need to practice some humility when it comes to this, because I don't think any of us have the knowledge to be absolutist, to be dogmatic about this. So that was my attempt of putting things in the right places here. Okay. Now, why are people so emotional when it comes to climate change? Now, I won't what's it called, beat around the bush, or in Norway we say gå runt grøten, walking around the porridge. That's when you don't get to the point straight away. I'll get to the point straight away. Climate change has become one of the major points on the bullet point list for the left and the right. Now, why is that? Well, I think that it's because it's been weaponized. And that started like the authoritarian kind of the leftist authoritarian way, a globalist way of thinking. They use climate change. And they use climate change clearly to control people. That's not a conspiracy theory. When I say that, people say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." No. Look at all the rules. Look at everything that they are imposing because allegedly of climate change. And look at the limitations in your life. Look at how it limits your movements, how it all of the surveillance through your smartphone mainly. Look at all the carbon footprint apps and things like that coming now. So you will basically your whole entire existence will be measured. That's what they want. And clearly that goes against the core, well, the core, the spirit, if you will, of individualism. So, sorry. So that's mainly why people are so emotional about it. Also, most people are very emotional about it because of these false statements. And you will hear people saying climate change is because of human activity. Or they will say climate change is because of humans, which I think we can all agree is not correct. Or you will hear people saying that humans have no impact on the climate, which also I believe that if we are completely objective here, we understand that that can't be true. But there will be people who truly believe that humans have no impact on climate change. My advice would be travel more, you know. Um, so when you weaponize things, when you fail to talk about something as important as this in an objective and unemotional way, it becomes weaponized. And I believe that is one of the reasons why we are so bad at dealing with this. And here in Norway, you will see idiotic things like, oh, we will power the oil platforms, the oil and gas platforms in the North Sea with electric power, so it looks better on paper, and we'll sell the oil and gas to other countries. Hello, it's idiotic. It's but they will do things like that, and people will look at that and they see that that's insanity, right? Um, so basically, I think that we as humans, we are good at looking at patterns, too good. It comes from, I believe, from the times when we were, living in nature, and we had to instinctively look for patterns, like when we were tracking animals and so on. So we are looking at patterns, and we will very often um, make mistakes, because while we are good at recognizing patterns, we are also very bad at understanding probability. A lot of things, well, nature and the world that we live in is much more chaotic than we like to believe. So that goes into this as well. And we will, try to remember back, and we will, the winters, they were so cold when I was a child. So clearly we must have massive climate change. Or people will say that, well, it's really cold now. So and last year the winter was cold as well. So no, there's a pattern there. So there can't be, the climate is not getting warmer. So as humans, we are not good at looking at things objectively. Um, and I think that we, like, also we are bad at proportions, and I believe that that's, like, chemtrails, and yes, you can seed an area and make the clouds rain, um, but and there are patterns for that, but going from that to using that to claiming that the entire East Coast or whatever in the USA are having hurricanes now, and that's being geoengineered. You have to come up with proof for that. You can't pull out that patent. Oh, because those are so different when it comes to proportions. But people are very bad at proportions. But yeah, so I would like to have a grown-up conversation about why people are so emotional about climate change. I am not interested in short messages, sentences claiming, oh, it's because of chemtrails or whatever. Why are people so and I'm not really interested in knowing what people think about this climate change. I'm more interested in why people are so emotional about it. because I think we shouldn't be. I think that we should think about future generations and do our best to preserve the planet in a healthy state. Um, and if there is something where we don't know for sure if this, let's say, something that we're doing will it harm the nature, climate, and so on. If we don't know, we should be a little bit careful, right? Because we shouldn't take any chances with this. So why are we emotional about climate change? And I will respond to those and only those comments here. What do you think? Why are we so emotional about this? Um, let's see here. Altero says just immaturity. Yeah, lots of people are immature, and we have social media, of course, where people are just getting confirmation for whatever their ignorance. Altero says it's hard to say since I don't tend to be emotional. Let's see. Yeah, Hotep here says some people are more militant. Yes, that it angers other people, of course. Yeah, Witty Mystic says maybe because the topic quickly became polarized. Yeah, that's the right word. And since there are valid points on both sides, when people are not heard, they get emotional. Yeah. Elmira says, I think many people are so emotional about it because it is repeatedly on the news, in the papers, at schools. Fear keeps people in one place also. You don't have control over it. Yes, a good point there. It's almost like bullying, and they're always going on and on about it. And then people start pushing back, Let's see. Yes, and Joe says there it's become an element in identity politics on both sides. Yeah. Daniel says it's because we don't know all the effects it will have on our way of life. The planet is fine, but it might not support the things we would like. Fred says, shame on you if you don't feel emotional about Mother Gaia. That's a good point. Eka says they have been brainwashed. I think if I would maybe not use that exact term, but those on both sides who are more the most extreme. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a religion. And again, it's on both sides, Yeah, the propaganda is crazy. Absolutely. Now, let's see here. Yeah, here's a good point. Afroshenics about taxes. Because what seems to be the case is that these politicians are saying, oh, look at the climate change. And because of climate change, because of pollution, we need to tax you more. As if that would help, you know. So, yeah, so that makes people push back, you know. Yeah, let's see here. In general, I would say that the more you know about something, the more time you have spent looking into something like properly, the less emotional you become, because you can see how complex it is. And those who are the most emotional are also the people who will just say, like, no, there is no, the sun is the only reason for changing climate on the planet. Or they will say that, oh, human activity is causing all of this climate change. So it is easy. It's the easy way out. It's easy to just go to one of the extremes and then shout at everyone else. It's very tribal. So in that sense, you could say it's very natural for us human beings to react in such a way. And when I talk to people who are quite knowledgeable about this, they are not that emotional. You would think that, well, they should be more emotional. Why are they not more emotional? Because they know all of these things. But they are not that emotional because they can see that it's very complex. And yeah, human activity is part of the equation here. But it's laughable when it's like, well, if we Norwegians, we are 5 million people. If we stop eating red meat, that will help the planet. Now, animal welfare is one thing, but for the climate thing that is laughable, And the things that would work, if we just for the sake of the argument, let's say we want to reduce carbon emissions. Wouldn't it be better and quite sensible to do things locally, like growing your own food? Don't import things from China and so on. Wouldn't that be more sensible? But I actually read that, no, we shouldn't, and this is typical propaganda, right? I read that last year, I think, that no, we shouldn't grow our own vegetables because that's bad for the climate. And so you will see things like that, they tweak the numbers. Yeah. Yeah, Orichi Fox says animal welfare goes hand in hand with the welfare of the environment and climate. Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong. You are correct. Absolutely. And Witty Mystic says, wouldn't it be more sensible to make things that last longer so we don't continually fill landfills with junk? Yes, absolutely. And Afrosinic says, there are so many good, sensible people here. Says there's no profit in sensible solutions and local farming. Yeah. Um, Justin says we are stewards of the earth. Yes, we are. Um, let's see. Now, I I will. I think we have kind of answered the question: why are people so emotional about climate change? Um, I'll just move a little bit into a sidetrack, so to speak. One of the things I'm very emotional about. One of the things that I care deeply about is nature conservations. Um, Conservation. Did I say conservations? It's very early for me here. Nature conservation, preserving nature, and protecting the forest, protecting the oceans. Did you know that the largest producer of oxygen is plankton, like the plankton in the oceans? And if we pollute, if you go scuba diving in the Oslo fjord, I have many times, and you will see it's dead. And what seems to be the case there is that you're seeing a desert basically. It's nature has been destroyed, and it's horrible to see. But we need to protect nature, and we need to leave nature. We can't destroy the forests. We can't. Okay, so let's get to the point here. The wind farms. That's what I'm trying to say. So, in Norway, there's a big thing. Okay, wind farms, and people hate the wind farms. The politicians here, and here comes a little story for you guys. The politicians here have been lying to us. Well, no, who's surprised? Nobody should be surprised. But they were caught because there are recordings of them saying many years ago that we need to make electric power more expensive for people. I'll say it again. Politicians said, and those same politicians are still making decisions today. They said, we need to make electric power more expensive. Why? Because that's the only way they could make wind farms profitable. If the price for electricity is below a certain level, the wind farms will not be profitable. Okay, because the wind farms sell electricity. Of course, that's why they're there. And if the price is too low, the wind farms will be not be profitable. Okay, so the politicians here did what they could to make electric power more expensive. I mean, that makes me very emotional. That makes me very emotional. And how did they do that? Well, they connected Norway, which is outside of the European Union, to the European Union, to continental Europe, because they knew that would increase the price for electricity. Of course, they are selling Norwegian electricity to other countries. So, well, actually, Altera, I don't think they're, well, they might be stupid as well, but they are certainly corrupt. Sharp canines, you feel emotional because they raised your electricity, angry, huh? I don't know what you're trying to say there. But yeah, I don't think, yeah, I get emotional when I know that there are old people who don't have much money freezing in their own homes because of the price of electricity that has quadrupled during the last couple of years. So yeah, that makes me emotional because I don't like to see people suffering. So yeah, yeah. So that's yeah. But anyway, the wind farms are destroying Norwegian nature. It's and they brag, these people, these politicians, they brag about that they want to have many more wind farms. We're moving towards an election here in Norway, and it's going to be a big thing. People don't want it because they can see that it's there not for us, and it's destroying wildlife, killing birds, destroying nature, and it's making electricity, or it it making electricity more expensive. It's part of that whole thing. But yeah, um, so okay. Jeff Willis just joined up. Well, thank you for subscribing. Um, yeah. Yeah. Well, so it's just to conclude. I think when it comes to climate change, people get emotional because it's become part of what you need to believe or not believe in when you're in a certain tribe. And I think we should not listen so much to the people who say climate change is not real, or the people who say if you eat a steak, you are killing the planet. We should rather listen to sensible people, objective people who want to look at, what can we do to conserve, to protect the planet for future generations, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, and it's by the way, in just let me add that in Norway we have this funny thing. They say that we are strømstøtte. That's they're subsidizing your electric bill. So the government will pay some of your electric bill, and people think that's nice. That's so wonderful. Now, and I go like, oh no, how are people that stupid? That's just you're paying the rest when you pay taxes, you know. But anyway, okay, that's all for now. Thank you for joining. I'm glad that this finally worked. I hope I won't have any more problems with doing these live streams. I will be, yeah, well, by the way, do check out my secret video on the main channel. It's a secret video because YouTube made it secret. I uploaded it last night, and not many people have seen it. So that's on the main channel. And go and check that out. The video needs a little bit of help in the algorithm. Yeah. Okay. Have a wonderful day or evening. We'll talk soon.